Hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. Tania here with Sydney Foltz. She is a healer, a retreat host, and podcaster who's living in the Sacred Valley of Peru. And her website is tigrosacollective.com. And so, Sydney, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to dive in.
Me too, Tanya. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, yeah. And so, before we go into your healing work and your experience of Peru and the Sacred Valley and all the magic that's there, you were a comedic actress living in Chicago. So
Yep.
tell us about that journey.
Yeah, so I had been acting since I was 5 years old. Was never into sports, didn't work out, and so my parents put me into theater. And I started learning the art of comedic improvisation since I was in middle school. So since I was around like 12, 13 years old. And I really just found this passion for comedy. And what's so cool about improv or improvisation is that you create this entire story, this entire world, this entire character out of practically nothing, just following your own
Mhm.
intuitive creativity, trust, and calling, and also working with what's present with your scene partners. So for me, improvisation was this like incredible outlet to just express myself creatively. But I feel like a lot of the lessons that I've taken from that time, I've brought into the real life as well, my real life as well, where it's like, trusting in the universe, surrendering, working with that's what's on stage, going moment by moment and just having that trust in yourself, trust in your scene partner and trust in the show. And yeah, I was so passionate about it that I actually got a degree in comedy.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I got all those student loans for a beautiful
Yeah.
comedy degree. And yeah, I ended up, I was still living in Chicago after college. And, as an actress in any niche that you're in, like a very few people start making money right off the bat. So on top of, going on all these auditions with my voiceover agency, running a podcast, doing late night shows, like all of that,
Mhm.
plus working three jobs that just definitely were not my passion. I just ended up reaching a point of burnout. And
Mhm.
I just felt like even though acting and comedy and voiceover was my passion, I just was like, I'm so miserable. Like, this is not working. Like, there has to be something else for me. And it was in that moment where everything changed and I found a new calling and a new purpose.
Yeah. So how did you find yourself in Peru? How did you, yeah, what was
Yeah.
the call? How did that show up?
So when I reached that point of burnout, I kind of just talked to God. I was like, no way this is it. Like, I don't want this anymore. I'm so tired. Like, I don't want to babysit and work in restaurants and be a brand ambassador, like for a distillery. Like, I want to like live a very meaningful, purposeful, peaceful life.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I got an invitation from my aunt to go and sit a traditional Shipibo dieta in the Amazon jungles of Peru, working with ayahuasca and other master plants. Didn't know what I was signing up for, but all I knew is that my body was like, yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And I basically came back from that experience like, I don't want to do any of this anymore. Like, I just want to devote my life to healing and growing with the earth. And the messages I was getting at that time was like, you don't need to know where you're going next, just start transitioning out of your life. So I took a whole year to, you know, warn my family, break up with my partner, sell all my things, transition out of my projects. And about 6 months into that process, Costa Rica had called me and I wanted to really dive into learning permaculture. So I started my journey on a permaculture farm in Costa Rica. A couple years into that, I got asked to work a retreat in Peru, and I decided to travel around a bit, visit the Sacred Valley, as well as sit another dieta. And I just fell in love with the Sacred Valley. And I remember when I went to the jungle after that, night one ceremony, the medicine was just like, you're moving to Peru. And I was like, okay. So here I am in
Wow.
Peru.
Wow. Amazing. That's so interesting that you were drawn to Costa Rica. I remember in my 20s feeling very drawn to Costa Rica. I went there for a short visit and I haven't been back since, but um, there does seem to be, I know of another woman who landed in Costa Rica and now she's in Peru. I mean, there's some kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's just the environment or what it is, but definitely, I mean, there's the pura vida, right, attitude in Costa Rica, and then Peru, you have this sacred valley in it being what I have heard it to be described as the the seat of the divine feminine of the planet.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that you mentioned that because I just had my aunt, the one who took me to Peru, that first dieta, visiting this past week, and we were talking about how the Sacred Valley really just feels like a womb, like so much creation, so much capability to be birth, death, and rebirth, and also just like really like nourishing energy from the mountains, from the plants, from the animals, from the people. Like it's so heart-centered here. And you really do feel like as you're surrounded in the mountains, you're just like surrounded in the womb of the mother. Like these mountains really hold you as though you were a baby in the womb.
and so I'm guessing I've never been, but I guess I'm just assuming that Peru is somewhat it's just hasn't been tainted by capitalism and consumerism, right?
Yeah, I would say out of all the places I've traveled, in South America, South and Central America, like unfortunately Costa Rica is very jaded. They're totally westernized. A lot of the indigenous culture is lost. There's a ton of what do you call it? Resort centers, things like
Yeah,
that. And I
yeah.
know the government really wants to be considered like a westernized country.
Mhm.
But yeah, what's beautiful about Peru is out of anywhere in Central South America, it has the highest population of indigenous people on the land. So 70%. And this is a fact that I've learned. It could be different now, but 70% of the people living in Peru are indigenous and are native. And you find here that that culture is very integrated and alive. And there's so many people wearing, their traditional garments and practicing different kinds of farming and ceremony and lifestyle as their ancestors have been for like the last 1,000 years.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you come to Peru, like it's really special because that's very much alive. And there's so many opportunities to immerse yourself into the culture here.
Beautiful, amazing. And so, I mean, that's such a I'm curious, like, what was the transition like from leaving the United States? I mean, the United States, I don't know, I want to have hope for the United States, but I really just feel like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it really is. I was just sharing with this other woman that I was telling you about that also visits Peru, that I was like, right now in the United States, it's just ill. That's the only way I can describe it. It's ill. And it's almost like in critical care condition, It's like,
The
I don't,
ICU.
yes, the ICU right now. It's like, oh my gosh, we're sick, we're burnt out, we're divided.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's overwhelming. It's sad. So I'm curious for you, what was I've never done ayahuasca, and so I'm curious what that experience was like. I've heard people call it that you really go through an ego death. Is that true?
Yes, 100%. So, to answer your first question, my timing of this transition was actually super interesting. So,
Mm.
I got back from that dieta in December 2019. Then, a few months later, COVID hit.
Oh,
And yeah, and I'm really grateful for ayahuasca and that experience because it allowed me to have a very real, raw, authentic lens as to what was going on, not only just with the United States, but with the world in general. And I remember 2020, like it was hard, like closing out my life. I mean, talk about ego death. Like the entire
everything
life that
you
I had
built.
built for myself
Yeah.
was done and dead. And that version of me was gone. And I was really rebuilding this new sovereign version of Sydney. And so I remember my prayer for 2020 as I'm making these huge transitions was sovereignty. Like, I want to live a life of sovereignty.
Mhm.
And yeah, transitioning from the States to Costa Rica, it was actually amazing. I remember like when I got there, I just like got naked and I rolled around in the sand and I jumped in the ocean. I'm picking fruits off the trees and I'm like covering myself in mud. It was really this kind of Costa Rica was the perfect environment for me to reclaim the beauty of what it is to be a human, to be free, to be in this beautiful like meat suit and enjoy the pleasures of the earth and live a more simple life. Because when you move to Central South America, unless you're in a really big city, like there's no Amazon Prime, you know?
Right,
There's
right.
you can't just get your favorite shampoo within 2 days and order it. Like you have to kind of just work with what's on the land. I've gotten good at like, when friends go to the United States, like, oh, can you bring me this and that? And I'll do the same for my friends. But yeah, there were definitely like a lot of comforts that I had to let go. And honestly, one of the biggest comforts being like this was like letting go of the system almost, letting go of, for me personally, I mean, there are digital nomads out there that still have like consistent paychecks and things like that. But for me, I was letting go of health insurance. I was letting go of consistent job. I was letting go of consistent income. I was letting go of, the comforts of air conditioning and heating, simple things like that. And yeah, the transition was really, it was really freeing for me. It was amazing to just be stripped down bare, not only just in physical, but also like ego wise, because I had let go of all my stuff too, like all my furniture, all the things I loved and cherished, all my clothes. And I really realized that those things just don't matter. Like what matters is like real treasures of the earth. Like I said, like fresh fruit from the trees and feeling like the ocean waves on your skin and yeah, just beautiful like-minded community members and like living in a culture that doesn't prioritize like overworking yourself and getting yourself into burnout. Don't get me wrong, some parts of these countries do that. Like people are still very much in the system like that, but like, it's chill here. It's like pura vida.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we work on Central South America time, so things go a little bit differently. And yeah, so even though it was sad to grieve my old life, and that definitely was a big transition for me, I felt so free in it all. And I really had this amazing space to just rebuild myself and discover who this new version of myself is. And yeah, since that point, like ayahuasca has been a very crucial part of my journey and a very consistent part of my journey. And yeah, working with her is basically just drinking a cup of yourself. It's like you work with ayahuasca, you drink a cup of yourself, and you go on this beautiful, intimate journey within where she goes and she finds the little nitty-gritty corners of where you're holding things that
Mm.
have kept you separate from love and presence, and she just rips it out of you and takes it out of you and creates more space for you to access that sovereignty, to access that truth, to awaken the remembrance of your creative potential, of what you're here to do, your purpose, your essence, your divinity.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You said a lot. So there's, backing up a little bit, it's, I have become more and more aware of, I guess, being online and being on social media and being an entrepreneur. There's so, I guess, I'll just say consumerism is so alive and well. And, and this idea that happiness somehow is found in, being a status symbol or whatever. Like there's just so many things that kind of get dangled in front of our face as if like this is what you want, and I and when I sit with myself, I think, like I already know all too well that all of that is really empty, right? That chasing after a what we may think of as a, better lifestyle and bigger, better house, nicer
Mm.
car, nicer clothes, bigger bank account, like all those things. It's truly not the key to happiness. Now, granted, money does make things easier. I will say that. I appreciate money for that, right? Like, I do like to be able to buy organic food and I do like to be able to buy the things I need, and I like to be able to pay my bills. But in terms of like the drive, almost like this insatiability, it's just such an illusion. And um, like what do we really need to be happy? I imagine that being in Peru, um, just experiencing the simplicity of life and the warmth of the people, and like you
Mhm.
said, experiencing abundance and richness by just being surrounded by the beauty and abundance of nature herself, and how giving, and it's like you have
Yeah.
everything you need, right? It's just it's everything is given.
Yeah, and it's really what I've learned a lot on my journey, especially in the lands of Peru, is like when you give to life, life gives to you. What you put out is what you put out is what's going to come back in. And I think, as we're moving forward in the world, integrating kind of the modern Western advances that our world is having, it's important not to forget the native ways of living. And so for me, I absolutely agree. I think consumerism is killing people. It's also killing the planet. Like we're moving through so much waste.
Mhm.
But I also think that there can be a balance because, I'm a Taurus. I like nice things. Like I
Yeah,
do, like, thank you, money, for
right?
allowing me to buy from local artists like beautiful handmade hemp clothing. Thank you, money, for allowing me to, invest in other healers and mentors and receive that nourishment for myself. Like, pay the taxi drivers to take me on incredible experiences, things like that. And so I think that when it comes to consumerism, what is really important is just to have balance with it. Like you said, like, what do I really need? And it's like, okay, well, if this sweater is holy and it's not keeping me warm anymore and it's kind of served its purpose,
Yeah.
I don't need to go out and buy like a few different sweaters to have every color. Like what's one solid sweater made of beautiful wool, locally sourced that I can invest in that I know is going
Right,
to last me like the next 5 to 10 years?
right.
And kind of having that mindset has really helped me find balance with it and appreciate money to invest in the nicer things.
Mhm.
But the nicer things that are going to last for so
Yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think that, where we spend our money is so important. It's like, I guess for me, it's if I'm going to buy the sweater, right? I'm going to be more apt to maybe buying it from a local person who's an amazing knitter versus, Coco Chanel, for example,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a woman I really look up to once be like, yeah, everybody loves a Louis Vuitton bag, but it's not really gonna help you, or Louis Vuitton luggage or whatever, but what's really gonna last is like the Baze luggage, which is like, I don't know, a quarter of the price or something like
Yeah,
that. And so it's like, yeah, really investing in good high quality things that don't necessarily have to have the label that kind of makes you feel like you're at a certain status.
yeah, yeah. So now I wanna shift over to the healing spirit of the rose. That
Mhm.
let's dive into that. The rose I know is the highest frequency, right? Of all the flowers, it's the highest. It's the Divine Mother. I mean, when I think of rose, I think of Mother Mary instantly.
Yeah.
And I remember, I actually remember one time, it was such an amazing experience. Sorry about that. Um, my husband's texting me. Uh, he breaks through the firewall. So yeah, where I had this experience where I had this really intimate connection with this. There was a white rose in a garden, and she
Mm.
was literally communicating to me, and it wasn't in words, but it was this communion that was so profound. I'll never forget it. And as I'm thinking about it, it is just the return again, the return of the divine feminine. Um, can you share a little bit more about what that is? Is that a teaching? Is it a path? What is
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, so I love that you mentioned you had a connection with the white rose because that's actually the rose that I work with the most.
Mm,
And yeah, you think about a rose and she really represents, yes, the Divine Mother, but also the Queen.
mm,
Like she has this sturdy stem and these beautiful thorns acting as protective knights, allowing like the fragrance and the petals of her full bloom to just radiate and glisten to the world. And if you look at the rose, it looks like an infinite spiral. And I feel like that's a big representation of the womb and the divine feminine because the divine feminine invites us out of the linear and into this kind of infinite spiraling creation of life. Like it's never really over, right? We're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always elevating ourselves. And that journey is a spiral. It's not just a straight line, it goes forever. And I feel like the spiral also represents this beautiful mystery. And then for me, the rose invites us to look into the great mystery of life and surrender to that great mystery. And I feel like the rose is calling and awakening so many women right now and so many people in general because there's this huge reclamation of the divine feminine that's happening on our planet. Like
mm,
we live on Mother Earth, like that's a divine feminine planet. She moves through rhythms and cycles. She takes her time. She creates spaciousness to tap into creativity and to create and destroy and it's not this whole linear process. Like it's really this kind of infinite, like this this infinite death, rebirth, creation that somehow just all synchronistically works together. And
mhm.
she's very intelligent. So I feel like the rose invites us to look into our own rhythms and cycles and see how we can create a life and live a life based on those rhythms and cycles that also match the seasons of the earth.
Yeah.
Because truth is, we can't be on it all the time. We need those periods of rest. We need those periods of reflection. There's a time to show up and create, and there's a time to take a step back and just let life do life.
Mm,
And I feel like the rose also brings us back, and the white rose specifically to me represents divinity. So the white rose is here to help connect you to the divinity that lives within yourself, but also the divinity that is God, and helps remind you that you are a beautiful creation of God, gifted with the ability to create, and those creations create. And so it helps bring you again into that infinite spiral of creation and divinity, remembering your worth,
mm,
your essence, like what you came here to do, like purpose, mission, service, even if it's just how you act in your day-to-day life with your family, your neighbors, your friends, your community. And so I feel like the rose is really calling us to come back to the remembrance that we are children of this earth and we're meant to move with her pacing and our own pacing.
mhm.
And I feel like it's very different than where the United States is at right now, right? The United States is very hyper masculine. It's go, 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 do, do, do,
Yeah.
constantly make more money to, like you said, get the next thing, like be a
Don't
part of
stop.
this.
Like
Like,
literally, don't stop. Don't
don't
ever stop.
stop. And the
It's
rose invites us to stop and
like
reflect and take in the beauty of life and be present.
I know it really is so crazy the yeah, that hyper masculine go 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 do. It's like don't dare even stop to enjoy the path. It's just like, you know, like, well, why am I doing this anyway? It's like I thought I was doing this because I want to enjoy time with my family or I want to have like, but
Yeah.
I mean, corporate America, whatever. It's like, so many people on my channel were in corporate and like
Mhm.
saw the light and like
Yeah.
I'm out of here, like enough already. Yeah, I think that awakening is just it's happening and it's beautiful because it's part of a larger evolutionary process. It's like, um, it's just an inevitability that there is this return of the divine feminine and And so it is really beautiful to witness. And I'm curious with the white rose, is that also in the Peruvian culture? Is that something that's
Yeah.
significant? It is. Yeah. Interesting.
So here we have in the Sacred Valley, they're called Hampi roses. And Hampi is a Quechua word, which Quechua is one of the native languages here for almost like medicine or medicinal. So these are very highly medicinal white roses. The bushes that I work with and harvest from are like hundreds of years old. Like
Wow.
her thorns are thick and her fragrance is beautiful, and she holds so much wisdom and intelligence. And I haven't met very many locals who work with Rose, but I know that she's used a lot traditionally in plant baths or um,
Hmm.
teas and salves, and is also like highly respected and honored as that beautiful divine mother plant. And yeah, you can actually come here, and I've learned how to sit a diet with her to
Hmm.
really initiate with her frequency and her spirit. And to explain what a diet or a dieta is for those who don't know, it's basically devoting a certain amount of time to working with a master plant. And you do this by cutting out any access to the outside world, foods like sugar, salt, pepper, oils, spices, anything that's like yummy and delicious, and just really just eating to live and allowing yourself to be this clean and pure vessel while drinking and receiving the spirit of the plant. And it's such a special experience. And so that's one of the ways you can work with Rose on these lands is really sitting a dieta with her and opening up that space of communion and connection with her and really having her go in and heal again, anything that's keeping you separate from love and separate from your purpose and your power and this beautiful enjoyment of life. Like she has so many different healing properties.
Yeah. Wow. And then you also work with Wachuma?
Yeah,
What
so
is
Rose and
that?
Wachuma are actually an amazing team.
Hmm.
Uh, Wachuma, or what's also called San Pedro, is a cactus that is native to Peru. And it grows here in the Sacred Valley. And what's really cool about working with Rose and Wachuma is that you have the divine feminine and the divine masculine uniting the sacred heart within. So going in and bringing not only that balance between masculine and feminine, but also healing your heart to be even more stronger, more open, accessing more light, more of your essence so that you can really become the truest, most authentic version of you. Because Wachuma is this incredibly heart opening medicine, and it's a cactus, if I didn't mention that before. And it not only just opens up your channel and takes you to the stars, but it also grounds you so deep into the earth so that you have both channels going at the same time so that you can really um, just open to life and see the beauty of life for what it really is.
Hmm. And what is I mean, so I've often heard that when one does um, plant ceremony, or, is doing a psychedelic or whatever, that the integration afterwards is so important. So I'm wondering about what is that process?
Yeah. So to me, integration is the real ceremony. 20% of the work is done in the plant medicine ceremony, 80% is uh, what you do with the gifts you've been given in ceremony and how you apply them to your life and how you make the necessary changes in your life. And integration is huge. It's a very crucial part of all my offerings. And, you
Hmm.
know, it's really a crucial part of the journey of working with plant medicine. And the way I like to kind of help people through integration is by saying like who is the person that you are becoming or that you want to become, and how can you embody that person in your day-to-day life? So what changes and habits do you need to the plants show you that you need to change in order to be a more embodied version of this person? What relationships do you need to let go of? Where are you being asked to step more into your power and your gifts to make these creations and these prayers come to life? And it's a process, it's like working a new muscle. Like you're shedding an old version of yourself, and the plants really help you do that. They help you shed, again, anything that is not that is not allowing you to live a life of love or live a life of presence so that you can step into this more authentic, true version of yourself. But it takes time to kind of calibrate that into your life. So there really has to be this beautiful kind of wanting of that within yourself because it's very easy to become dependent upon these medicines. It's
Yeah.
very easy to be like, okay, well, I just felt so much love with Wachuma, so I'm just going to keep sitting because I know that's what feels good. But really, the plants are here to show us like this love exists within you and you can access this in your daily life. Like the plants are just kind of opening up that space for you to embody that. And so, what steps can you take to really embody that?
Yeah. So I'm curious, so you host retreats. And so I can imagine that, and I'm assuming, I mean, people come from all different places. Um, but let's say it was me. Or let's say, I mean, I'm fortunate to live in a very beautiful valley as well. It's a lot of nature. I don't live in a city, but let's say, I like you. Let's say I lived in a city and I had this job and this and that, and I felt this calling to go on this retreat, and I had this amazing, experience, and then I have to go back home.
Mhm.
Do you, I imagine for some people that's really challenging, right? To go back to a world where maybe there isn't as much consciousness and awareness as to, what's really important in life, and the surroundings of being in a city and all of that. How do you recommend, or how do you assist people in being able to return back to their life? Because, let's face it, not everybody can just pick up and move to Peru, right? Or,
Right. Yeah.
right?
And not everyone is meant to. That's the
Right,
thing.
right, right. Yeah, so yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so integration is a part of every single one of my retreat offerings. Like it's just already included in it. And then if you want to go deeper, private integration is available as well. I give people the tools that I feel I wish I got after that first dieta of how
Okay,
to
okay.
properly
I wonder,
integrate.
so you didn't really necessarily have anybody to hold
No,
your
I
hand
had
up
my
with.
aunt, which was great, but
Yeah.
I remember I got thrown back in and I was like, oh my God, what do I do with all of this,
Yeah, seriously. It's
But
almost
what's
like
really
culture
cool,
shock. It's culture
oh,
shock, right?
complete reality shocking. I was just like, oh my God, you just see everything for what it is. And yeah, there's definitely like I have had some clients that, yeah, I've needed that support to help transition. But what I can reflect from both my journey and what I've seen in the people who've come to retreat with me is that there are conscious spiritual people everywhere, especially in cities too. They may be hiding, they may not be in your direct sphere, but they're there. And if your prayer is to live a more conscious life, it's up to you to make those changes and to call those new communities in. So, what I see a lot with the people who've come to retreat with me, but also myself, is like old relationships that weren't serving just kind of faded away, or those conversations needed to happen, and those kind of friendship breakups or relationship breakups or whatever happened. But it created space for new aligned friendships and relationships to come in. And so, for anyone who is resonating with this and may be like, yeah, I went on this beautiful retreat and now I'm back and I'm like, oh, what do I do? And it's like, just remember that you create your own reality and God, spirit, universe is listening. So, if you're calling in more of those conscious communities, more of a conscious lifestyle, like ask God to open the doors and lead you there. And then take a moment to listen and see, like, okay, like what changes and shifts do I need to make in my life so I can actually have space to welcome this in?
Yeah. And I like what you said too about, not everybody's meant to live in Peru. And I think
Mm-mm.
um, it's true that perhaps for many people, it's taking that medicine and bringing it back to
Yes.
your own life so that um, so you can transform the place that you're already in. I think that is because we don't want to just live an escapist life, right? Of just going wherever it feels good. There might be a reason why you're living in the city or you're living in the States or you're, you have work specific soul level, destined work that you're supposed to be doing. Um, I'm glad that you said that because I think for some
Yeah.
people, they might feel like, oh, woe is me, I don't get to, live in in Peru or Costa Rica or, some of these other places.
Yeah, and I have clients who work so many different jobs and a lot of them are corporate or in the system, but what's really beautiful is that they get to bring more consciousness and intentionality into what they do.
Yeah.
And they get to, like, a lot of them end up stepping up into greater levels of leadership in these spaces because they have that more grounded, open perspective. And they're really, yeah, kind of activating and charging and awakening these spaces and like
Yeah.
spreading that light and spreading that love here. I remember I had once had a friend from high school who was like, I want to go on one of your retreats so bad, but like, I sell handbags at Tory Burch. Like, I'm so afraid of my life just like changing completely. And I was like, look, like, we need conscious salespeople at Tory Burch. Like,
Yeah.
you could make a woman feel so good. You could completely transform that space. And like, I even say it too, like, it doesn't matter what job you're working, like, whether you're a dog walker or a garbage person or you work in for USPS and the mailing system, like,
Yeah.
we need conscious people everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's if, you
It's so
know,
true. It's so true.
yeah. So,
I have a friend that lives in Mount Shasta and
mm,
she was telling me, she's like, everyone here is awakened. The the garbage man is awakened,
mhm,
the waitress is awake. Like it's not so much about the role that you're having to play or fill, let's say, or your job, whatever. It's really about um, who you're being and the frequency that you're emitting, because it is really true. I mean, sometimes um, you can heal a room just by walking into it. You don't even really have to necessarily do anything, right?
100%, like just you being the embodiment of your true authentic self and like carrying that love into everything you do, like it ripples, it changes, it ripples into your community. Like that's what I love about healing work is that you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your lineage,
Mhm.
your ancestors, those living, those yet to come, and then it's rippling out into your community and then it's rippling out into the world. Like it's amazing and it's such an intelligence that's so necessary, especially right now with what we've been talking about of like, yeah, especially the United States just being in the ICU. Like, I really believe that the world is going towards a life that is more intentional and conscious and that benefits all and that works with the earth's natural rhythms and cycles. Like I envision, we're in this really intense space right now because these systems don't work anymore and they're collapsing. And
Yeah.
it's like I feel like these systems are trying to do everything that they can to save themselves, but it's like if we need these systems to collapse to rebuild something incredible,
Mhm.
that benefits all, that benefits the earth, that allows us to live more conscious, intentional, pleasure-filled lives and create that for the ones who are yet to come, for the generations to come, then like,
Mhm.
yeah, we just got to go through the shadow in order to awaken that light. And so I feel like the more work we can do on ourselves and the more healing we can bring our own lives, like it's just going to benefit the world in general.
Yeah. And you have a retreat that's coming up this year.
I do.
So
Yeah.
share
So
with us
this
details.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this is a intimate women's healing retreat here in the Sacred Valley of Peru. It's September 5th through 12th, and we are going to be diving deep with the spirit of White Rose here in the Sacred Valley of Peru. And my prayer for this retreat is to just hold a safe and sacred space for people to really feel the magic of these lands, learn to work with their prayer, really harness the spirit of the rose to again bring healing to those inner wounds within us that have allowed us to be separate from love, really reclaim your power as a woman, really see life as a beautiful divine feminine being, and yeah, tone into your essence and your creativity and really anchor in some serious prayers for your life and come into this deep healing space to be a match for those prayers. Like with my retreats, we work with the spirit of the rose. We're drinking her tea every day. We're doing different shamanic ceremonies. I have you guys work with beautiful indigenous elders with a prayer ceremony in a very sacred mountain here. We do sweat lodge. We work with wachuma, sound healing, breath work, feminine embodiment workshops. It's got all of it. If you're looking for adventure, but also a deep healing experience, but also looking to make lifelong sisterhood bonds
Mm,
from women of all walks of life, like this experience is for
yeah.
you.
Ah, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And that's on your website, just so the audience knows, tigrosacollective.com. Definitely go check it out. I did, and it looks amazing. You have a beautiful team that's supporting the work and the whole retreat. And yeah, is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we sign off?
Yeah, for those who have found this episode and may feel inspired by today's conversations, I'm just going to create an invitation for you to really create time for yourself to reflect and think, what kind of life do I want to create for myself? And who do I need to become to make that life a reality? And really just come into this expansive, abundant space of not only deepening your connection to self, but with the divine, but just opening up a space for you to have a greater trust in life. So, if that means taking a leap or stepping out the edge of your comfort zone or doing something that you never thought you would do, like, but you feel that beautiful, expansive yes in your body, like,
Mm.
honey, do it. Just do
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
watch the magic that unfolds. Dive into the mystery, trust in that calling and just yeah, let yourself live a really beautiful life because you can create it.
100%. I feel like it's that travel and doing a healing retreat or just taking yourself out of your everyday common environment where the ruts just exist, and sometimes you can't even see what the ruts are until you actually get to leave and have an experience that just kind of shakes everything up a little bit so that you can kind of see the cracks and the light that coming through the cracks. And yeah, it's powerful, powerful. So Sydney, thank you so much for spending time with us here today. It's been wonderful. And everyone, please like, share, and subscribe. Again, check out Sydney's website, tigrosacollective.com. And yeah, thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you, Tanya. It was such a pleasure, yeah, being with you today and connecting and sharing this conversation. Really grateful for this, yeah, for this beautiful connection.
Amazing. All right. Bye, everybody.